girl got pregnant and gave birth to 4 venomous snakes. Every single one of them hissed at her. She tried everything she could think of to kill them. But the little snake babies just kept getting more and more attached to her. It wasn't until she sold 2 cheap animal hides and traded away the oldest and second oldest that the snake kids completely gave up on their mom. So this ugly female really didn't love them at all. The 4th one, in a fit of rage, shoved her right off a cliff. And while Xian lay there unconscious and badly injured, she heard 2 soft little kids' voices nearby. Third bro, that annoying female. She looks dead. Dead, whatever. All she ever did was make our lives miserable anyway. Xian's eyes snapped open at that. She saw 2 kids in front of her. One with white hair, one with green. Hair! Xian couldn't believe it. After that massive explosion, she was actually still alive. She looked over at the 2 kids and asked, "Hey kids, where are we?" The moment she said that, the white-haired little one stumbled back a step, clearly scared. But the green-haired one just walked right up and grabbed Xian's face. "Still alive, Beiji." Xian suddenly remembered. Beiji, wasn't that the big villain from that Beast World novel she'd read before? The one with the absolutely brutal ending? Wait, did she just transmigrate into a book? Xian looked at the 2 little troublemakers, confused, and asked again, "Hey kids, what are your names?" The green-haired kid rolled his eyes. "You nasty female? What are you playing dumb for? You seriously trying to pull the amnesia act on us?" The white-haired Beiji looked like he was softening a little. "I'm Beiji." "That's Xiqing." "You're Xian." A dark, smelly, tiny, weak little female. Hearing that, Xian couldn't help but let out a bitter laugh. She really did transmigrate into a book. And not just any character, she became the mom of 4 villain snake babies. In the original story, she apparently hated snake beast people, so she beat and screamed at all 4 of the kids constantly. She even sold the oldest and second oldest, for just 2 animal hides, sold them off as slaves to other females. Later on, all 4 villains' messed up personalities traced straight back to her. And the ending? The 4th broke both her legs, the 3rd snapped both her arms, the 2nd gouged out both her eyes, and the 1st drove a blade through her heart. Game over. Xian's mind was spinning a million miles a minute by the time she finally accepted reality and sat herself back up. She found the 2 snake kids had already disappeared. She was inside a cave, which was probably Xian and her kids' home. But the cave was absolutely disgusting. Animal waste everywhere, and 0 ventilation. The hunted meat inside was rotting and rank. The only 2 hides they had were caked in filth. Then she felt something itchy on her face. She scratched it. A huge chunk of black grime came off. She literally couldn't take it. See, in her past life, she had a wood-type ability and a space-type ability. A dual-power user. Even in an apocalypse crawling with monsters, she still managed to stay clean and put together. She braced herself against the wall and stood up, then started testing whether her powers from the apocalypse still worked here. She focused hard and tried to activate her space ability. With everything she had, she managed to crack it open just a sliver. Right away, she pulled out a disinfectant wipe, a silver dagger, a lighter, and a bag of salt. Then the space snapped shut on its own. She tried to open it again. Nothing. It was done. She took out the alcohol-soaked disinfectant wipe and cleaned out her wounds, at least getting a basic disinfect in. Then she held out her left hand, focused her mind, and then a faint green glow, barely a flicker, pushed its way out of her palm. She was sweating buckets, staring at the tiny little sprout she'd grown in her hand, and finally cracked a smile. After resting for a bit, Xian spotted a raw sweet potato sitting at the cave entrance. She used her silver dagger to peel it, opened her mouth and ate it, and that helped her growling stomach feel just a tiny bit better. She stepped outside and saw a lush green forest stretching out before her. This was absolutely something you'd never see in the polluted wasteland of the apocalypse. She took in all that life and beauty and smiled, genuinely grateful. But then she turned back around and got a look at the stinking cave behind her, and that smile disappeared instantly. She pulled some dead branches from outside the cave and tied them together, cobbling together a makeshift broom. She went back in and swept out every last bit of filth. Outside, the sun was blazing bright. Xian grabbed the only 2 hides they had, hauled them down to the river to wash, then hung them on a tree outside to dry. Once she was done with all that, she finally felt like a human being again. 2.5 hours later, her stomach started growling again. She needed food. And those 2 little villain babies needed food too. Problem was, there was literally nothing to eat in the cave. Lucky for her, wood-type ability users have a strong bond with plants. Tracking down edible plants was basically her superpower. She slipped into the forest and tuned in, and sure enough, she picked up the vibe of potatoes not far away. One light dig, and a whole pile of potatoes came right up. She piled them into a big leaf, took them to a nearby stream to clean them off, then wrapped them back up and carried them home. Just as she stepped back out, a beast person called out, "Xian, the hunting party's back! Come get your meat!" This tribe was called the Yanxiang Beast Tribe. Males could shift into beast form, or stay in human form. They were built like tanks, incredibly powerful fighters. Females, on the other hand, were fragile. Once they grew up, they were locked in human form, no shifting. Over time, female births became rarer and rarer. The ratio of males to females was almost 10 to 1. Females were seen as a blessing from the beast god, something males fought over and fiercely protected. If a male beast person harmed a female, the beast god would punish them. So even though Xian was stinky, filthy, lazy, and awful, every male in the tribe came back from the hunt each day and left her a few pieces of meat. Because of all that, though, not a single male had any interest in her, except for the snake-shaped mark on her waist, which meant she'd once had a snake beast person partner. The one calling Xian over was a gray wolf beast person, named Langfeng. He was only wearing a beast hide wrap around his waist, so those 9-pack abs were very much on display. Xian stared for about 2.5 seconds. Beast World males were genuinely easy on the eyes. She took the neatly cut piece of meat he handed her and was about to head back, when she noticed Lang Feng was about to toss out the bones and beast organs. Wait, those were good stuff. Si Yan rushed over and asked if she could take some of the bones and organs. She hadn't had a bowl of fresh, rich bone broth in forever. Just thinking about it made her mouth water, like literally drooling. But in a beast people tribe, this stuff was considered inedible garbage. So Lang Feng just shrugged and handed all of it over to Si Yan. A few minutes later, Si Yan took everything down to the stream and washed it clean, then brought it back home, pulled out the lighter and got a fire going. Then she started chopping ingredients with her silver dagger. By the time the food and soup were ready, the sky had slowly gone dark. But Xiqing and Beiji, those two little gremlins, still weren't back. Even though Si Yan's stomach was already growling like crazy, she decided to wait for the kids to come back before eating. She leaned back against the stone wall and started running through the story in her head, based on the original novel. The original Si Yan had apparently done a lot of truly unforgivable things. Her 4 kids basically despised her with everything they had, especially after she sold the oldest 2 for a couple of animal hides. After that, the 3rd and 4th never gave her a single kind look. So the cold treatment those 2 just gave her made total sense. Another 2 hours went by quickly, and the kids were still not back. Si Yan started to get anxious, so she rushed out of the cave and started searching everywhere for Xiqing and Beiji. But Si Yan didn't know this forest at all, so she just wandered around shouting both their names at the top of her lungs. Fortunately, she didn't have to search long. Both kids came crawling out from behind a tree. Now, Si Yan was fearless about most things, but her one weakness? Snakes. Lucky for her, the 2 little ones were currently in human child form. Looked about 5 years old. Xiqing was clearly annoyed. Gross female? Why are you screaming? Si Yan was simultaneously mad and helpless. You little brats, where have you been? I've had dinner ready and waiting for you forever. Xiqing crossed his arms, all smug. We are not little brats. We're little snake babies. Gross female. We know you don't like us. You don't have to say it every single day. Before Si Yan could even respond, Xiqing got curious and asked what a little brat was. Si Yan explained it was a long-eared beast, and if you made it into spicy braised rabbit head, it was delicious. Oh, and the fur is super useful too. Hearing that, Xiqing tilted his head and said coldly, we just saw one in the forest. A long-eared beast that ran straight into a tree and died. If you want it, we'll take you there. Si Yan nodded immediately. Yes, she wanted it. So she followed the 2 little snake kids, deeper into a thick patch of forest. 2.5 minutes in, Si Yan started feeling like something was off. She stopped and called out to both of them. Xiqing, Beiji, maybe we should just head back. But right then, Xiqing suddenly turned around, his green snake eyes flashing into view, and he flicked his little forked tongue. Sure. Gross female, we're heading back, see ya. Si Yan was terrified of snakes. In that moment, she felt the blood drain from her head straight to her feet. She was so scared she literally couldn't move. After a long moment, she finally snapped out of it, and realized Xiqing and Beiji were already gone. She stood there stiffly, thinking. She actually fell for the whole rabbit smacked into a tree story. She'd just been completely played by 2 kids. Meanwhile, Xiqing and Beiji had already made it back to the cave. Xiqing was cracking up. That dumb female, she is so cooked tonight. No way someone that directionally challenged finds her way back. But Beiji tugged on Xiqing's sleeve. Third bro, did we come back to the wrong cave? Xiqing paused mid-laugh, looked up, and found the cave was spotless and fresh. There were even little wildflowers, tucked into the small rock groove. Then Beiji suddenly noticed a big pot sitting at the back of the cave. Inside was a pot of simmering bone broth. Beiji immediately thought back to what the ugly female had said earlier. I've had dinner ready, and been waiting for you guys forever. He looked over at Xiqing, puzzled. Third bro, no way, this was actually cooked by the ugly female, right? Xiqing kept his face flat. No idea what she's up to, but she's definitely up to something. But Beiji, sweet and simple as always, picked up a piece of potato and took a bite. His eyes went wide. Third bro, try it. This is actually really good. Xiqing's stomach let out a little growl. They were cold-blooded snake beast people. Raw meat was all they needed to survive just fine. But it never occurred to either of them that this lazy, awful female could actually cook. Shidra had a ton of questions. But he and Beiji started eating. Real quick. Both little kids were completely won over by the food. But then Xiqing's expression darkened like he remembered something. Is she fattening us up to sell us too? Beiji looked up at his third brother immediately. Not long ago, their oldest brother Dongqi and second brother Nanmo had both been sold off by Si Yan. Cold-blooded snake beast people were unwelcome everywhere they went. Even their own birth mother didn't care about them. Were they really going to end up sold off too? Just thinking about it. Neither Xiqing nor Beiji could eat another bite. At the same time, back in the forest, Si Yan gripped her silver dagger, carefully trying to find her way home. What she didn't know was that up in the tree above her head, a snow-white eagle was lifting its gaze, eyes locked on her. It was a small female from the Yanxiang tribe, staring down and wondering, what's she doing out here?